Every powerful n8n workflow you've ever seen looks complicated at first, but once you strip away the UI, the arrows, and the node names, they all follow the exact same mental model. Something happens, data enters the system, that data gets transformed, maybe stored, maybe sent somewhere else, and sometimes an AI agent helps decide what happens next. If you understand that flow, n8n stops feeling like a collection of random blocks and starts feeling like a programmable system you actually control. In this video, I'm not trying to show you clever tricks. I want to give you the nodes that do the real work in almost every serious workflow and explain them the same way I think about them when I'm building automations. Oh, and by the way, everything you see in this tutorial is running locally, so if you want to learn how to install n8n on your local machine, check this tutorial I made. And if you are interested in more advanced n8n nodes, I have just the thing for you. I compiled a list of over 1,000 nodes. You can check it out in the video description below. Okay, let's start. Everything begins with a trigger, and the most important thing to understand about triggers is that they are not logic, they are events. A trigger's only job is to answer the question, why did this workflow start? A manual trigger is the simplest possible answer. You clicked the execute workflow button. That's why it's perfect for learning and testing. When I'm building, I almost always start with a manual trigger because it lets me run the workflow instantly and inspect the data at every step. A schedule trigger answers a different question. Did time pass? It doesn't care about users, inputs, or context. It just fires on a clock. Every day at 9, every 5 minutes, once a week. This is how reports, cleanups, backups, and recurring jobs work in the real world. Then you have webhook triggers, which are the backbone of most production workflows. A webhook means some external system sent data to your n8n instance. A form submission, a Stripe event, a custom script, even another n8n workflow. When you use a webhook trigger, you're essentially turning n8n into a small backend server that reacts to HTTP requests. Chat triggers work the same way conceptually, except the incoming data is conversational input rather than raw JSON. Error triggers are a special case that people often overlook. Instead of starting a workflow when things go right, they start it when something fails. That makes them perfect for alerts, retries, and recovery logic. Third-party triggers like Typeform are just convenience layers on top of this same idea. Under the hood, it's still an event firing and data being passed in. Once you start thinking of triggers as event types rather than special nodes, choosing the right one becomes obvious. All right, next up are storage nodes. As soon as data enters your workflow, the next question is whether that data needs to be remembered. A lot of beginners build automations that technically work, but forget everything the moment they finish running. That's fine for demos, but useless in practice. This is where storage solutions come in. Google Sheets is arguably the most popular option, and that's for a reason. It's visual, it's familiar, and it gives you persistence with almost no setup. Inserting a row into a sheet is often enough to log events, save form submissions, track requests, or build a simple operational dashboard. You trigger the workflow, map a few fields, insert the row, and now the data exists outside the workflow. Google Sheets is cool and all, but there is another option. n8n's built-in table or data store is more structured and better when you don't want a spreadsheet as your backend. It behaves more like an internal database and is useful when the data is purely operational and doesn't need to be human-facing. It's simple. You just look for table and select insert row or any other table action you want, then select your desired table, and if you don't have any, you can create a new one and structure it however you like. Okay, so once data is inside and optionally stored, this is where most of the real work happens. Data processing nodes are the heart of n8n, and they're also where people get overwhelmed if they don't understand what problem each node is solving. Let's start with edit fields. This is usually the first processing node I add because it forces me to look at the data shape. You clean up field names, remove noise, and create a payload that actually makes sense. This alone makes everything downstream easier to reason about. Then you have conditional logic. If nodes are the simplest form of decision-making because, well, it's basically an if statement. If this condition is true, go one way, otherwise go another. This is how workflows stop being linear and start being intelligent. Switch nodes do the same thing, but with multiple conditions, which is useful when routing data based on things like type, status, or category. Split out is where workflows start looping. If your trigger receives an array, split out lets you process each item individually using the same logic, which is essential when dealing with lists, batch operations, or API responses. Aggregate does the opposite. It takes multiple items and collapses them into a single result, like counting entries, grouping values, or summarizing data. Merge nodes let you bring branches back together after splitting logic earlier, which is critical when multiple paths need to contribute to a final result. And then there's the code node. This is your escape hatch. When configuration becomes awkward or limiting, a few lines of JavaScript can do exactly what you want. Most of the time, it's not about writing complex algorithms, it's about reshaping objects, computing values, or applying custom rules that don't fit neatly into a UI. Once you realize that all of these nodes are just transforming JSON from one shape into another, the entire system becomes much easier to reason about. After processing, workflows usually need to communicate with the outside world. This is where connectivity nodes come in, and they are what make n8n feel like more than just an internal automation tool. The HTTP request node is the universal connector. If a service has an API, you can talk to it with this node. You configure the method, the endpoint, headers, and body, and suddenly your workflow can fetch data, trigger actions, or synchronize systems. Webhook nodes handle incoming communication, while respond to webhook nodes send data back to whoever made the request. Together, these nodes allow n8n to act like a backend service. A request comes in, you validate or transform the data, and you respond with something meaningful. This is powerful because it means n8n can sit in the middle of real systems, not just automate tasks in isolation. Finally, this is where modern workflows start to feel fundamentally different from traditional automation, and that's AI integration. Message a model is the simplest entry point. You send text in, you get text out. That could be summarizing an email, classifying a support ticket, rewriting content, or extracting structured data from messy input. The important thing is that the AI isn't floating on its own. It's operating on real workflow data and feeding results back into the system. AI agent nodes take this a step further by allowing reasoning across steps. Instead of producing a single response, the agent can decide what actions to take based on instructions, context, and past steps. Used properly, this turns rigid workflows into flexible systems that can handle ambiguity without breaking. When you zoom out and look at everything together, every serious n8n workflow follows the same pattern. A trigger starts it, storage remembers it, processing shapes it, connectivity moves it, and AI reasons about it when rules alone aren't enough. If you deeply understand these nodes, you don't need to memorize dozens of others. You can open almost any workflow, follow the data as it flows from node to node, and immediately understand what's happening and why. That's the difference between copying automations and actually mastering n8n. And honestly, this way of thinking isn't just useful for automation. It's the same skill that separates people who can follow tutorials from people who can build things from scratch. And speaking of building things from scratch, did you hear of Code Crafters? Today's sponsor. They are the most rated GitHub repo, and that's for a good reason. Their platform gives you access to unique projects that will help you stand out from the competition without the clown shoes and nose. Want to build an HTTP or DNS server from scratch? Check. Hell, you can even craft your own version of Git, all while others are still struggling to center that annoying div in their to-do app. You can start some projects free of charge, and if you use my link in the description, you can get yourself a whopping 40% off, so hurry up. This was Codehead with yet another tech rant. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe.